Hey, E-Roc here. Today I'm going to be reviewing this thing and I'll be specifically talking about how it helps with Modern Warfare, if it does or if it doesn't. And I'll be teaching you how to become a sweat lord basically. I actually had to chase this thing all over London because my dumb ass didn't pre-order it. So, you know, that's that. Anyway, let's get into unboxing it. Ooh, this £25, this thing. Oh, instructions. I love me some instructions. Is that it? Give me a short while I read over these instructions. Done. There it is. It's on now. It looks kind of weird because it's already fired up the display. I love the little display that they put on. It feels very comfortable. Honestly, it feels very comfortable. For some reason I thought it was going to interfere. It's definitely way more comfortable than I thought it would be. It looks kind of ugly on the controller, but you know what? It just needs to serve the purpose. Alright, so I'm going to be honest with you. The first time I tried the back button in a real game, it was pretty horrible. It was uncomfortable and unintuitive, so for a moment I thought I made a big mistake by buying it. So I spent an hour or so playing with bots and just getting used to the movement. After spending that time practicing, I really started finding my groove. Now, it's still not instinctive. I would sometimes still by accident mash the L2 button in a panic, but I'm getting used to it and honestly I'm just not going back. So I bound jump to the right paddle and crouch to the left paddle. I was actually planning to use one of the paddles for sprint, but I just enabled auto sprint in the settings instead, which honestly I would highly recommend for you to do, especially if your play style is run and gun heavy. I feel that my movement is less restricted and more free-flowing, which honestly helps a ton with focusing on aiming and shooting at the enemies. As you can see in the video, I'm also able to now dodge enemy fire a little more. Now I don't drop shot much, but for those that do, this would be pretty massive. I do tend to jump around corners, however, and to avoid bullets, and it's been extremely helpful for that. I've noticed when playing with the back button, I've turned some situations which would previously be 50-50 in my favor. In terms of comfort, I don't know, after being used to the playing controller, on extended play sessions it does feel a little like there's something in the way. I do have larger hands though, and for people with smaller hands I don't think it'll be an issue at all, but just a little bit. It's not that it's uncomfortable, but it's just sometimes it feels like it gets in the way. Again, I need to test it out for a bit longer and see what my long-term view on it is. Now, regarding my recommendation, should you actually buy it? I would say yes. It has definitely helped me already, even though I've only spent such a short amount of time with it. It is something that you do have to get used to though, so bear that in mind. But in my opinion, it is a good investment nonetheless if you play Modern Warfare more than rarely. Now, if you can't afford it or you just don't see a need for this attachment, but you still want to improve your game, you can switch to something called the bumper jumper controller scheme. What it does is it rebinds your jump button to L2, and of course with that it just frees up your movement so you can jump and aim at the same time, which is pretty cool. So obviously just playing a couple of hours is not sufficient. I do have to use it a bit longer and get used to it. So I'll be making another follow-up video in terms of my long-term thoughts on it and how it helps. So do make sure you subscribe. Alright, so that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was informative and I'll see you guys very soon.